On 23 January 2023, the Commission sent you a request for the submission of the 5-year declaration of assets and personal interests. On 28 January, you submitted your 5-year declaration. The Commission also asked candidates to voluntarily complete and submit an ethics questionnaire, and you did so on 29 June of last year, 2022. The Commission sent you 4 rounds of questions on 17 March, 28 March, 7 April and 20 April respectively. You were asked a total number of 21 questions, including 37 subparts, and 23 of the questions included a request for further documentation. According to Article 3, Paragraph 4 of the Evaluation Rules of the Commission, a candidate may not provide information, documents or other materials during the hearing if the Commission requested these earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the time specified, unless, of course, the candidate provides sufficient justification for not providing the information as requested. Members of the Commission will now start with asking you questions. Nadezhda Rybczewski will start with asking questions. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point, and we ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. Nadezhda, you have the floor.
Hello, Mr. Borș. I will start with questions related to source of funds for real estate bought in 2012. You have the facts in front of you, and when I'm going to get to numbers, I will not speak them out because you have them in front of you. So, according to the information available to the Commission in 2012, you purchased a 67 square meter apartment, a land plot and a garage by the apartment in Hâncești for a total value of 189,000 approximately. So the sources of funds for this purchase that you declared were savings from your new wife's salary, 23,690, we will say 23,700 from the sale of a land plot, and an amount that you do not recall precisely, that you received from your parents or parents-in-law. According to what you mentioned and documents that you submitted in 2013, since you already owned the apartment, you were able to contract a loan from a bank of 160,000 lei from a bank, and that allowed you to repay the money that you borrowed from your parents and to carry out the necessary repairs in the apartment. According to the data available to the Commission, between 2007 and 2011, you and your wife had only salary income. The Commission provided you a table with your income for the years 2007 to 2011, as well as consumption expenditure for population, so all the data you have in front of you. And in your answer to the third round, you confirmed that the figures in the table are accurate. In the third round of written questions, you were asked to explain what share of the total amount for buying that real estate in 2012 was borrowed from your parents. And you, again, provided the following explanation, namely 23,700 from the sale of a land plot, a certain amount in euros that you did not remember exactly, but it was the equivalent of 160,000 lei, which we took from the euros that you were safekeeping for your father-in-law. You explained that you made reference to that 160,000 lei because you assumed that that was the amount that you needed, given the loan you took from the bank in 2013. And when it comes to savings, that was an amount of 5,300 that was not declared because it was a small amount and it was saved over the years. So now I'm going to ask you several questions by means of which we hope to clarify certain aspects. So, please confirm that you made the procurement of 189,370 lei in 2012. I confirm. Please confirm that in the first round of questions, you explained to the Commission that you used 3 sources for the purchase that I already mentioned: savings, sale of a land plot, and an amount that you do not recall exactly that you got from your parents, right? Please confirm that in the third round of questions, you provided the following explanation about the 3 sources you used to buy the real estate in 2012, namely, again, the sale of a land plot, a certain amount in euros equivalent to 160,000 lei, which you took from the euros that you are safekeeping for your father-in-law. You explained that you presume it was currency equivalent to 160,000 lei because that you needed that instead of what you borrowed from the bank in 2013. So, and the 5,300 lei as savings. Is that correct? Please explain what did you mean when you said that I refer to this amount because I assume that I needed it because the loan I took subsequently from the bank was 160,000 lei. I'm saying that you don't remember how much money precisely you took from your in-laws, or is it possible that you used another source of income that you omitted or forgot to mention to the Commission? Esteemed member, I would like to explain the situation related to the question that you asked. In 2012, I did not have housing, and no bank from Hâncești, let's say, where I was living, wanted to offer me a loan because I didn't own any property that I could set as collateral. And then the father of my wife had some funds that he received as remittances from his daughter in Italy, which is my sister's wife. Oh, my wife's sister, sorry. And she was sending the money to him to be kept in the safe of our family because he was older and he did not have the appropriate conditions, and he was afraid that the money could be stolen from him. So in 2012, knowing that that amount was there, we decided to purchase that apartment and then to prove to the bank that we own an apartment, because I visited all the banks and they all were saying that besides having the receipt, you needed the money used for that apartment. And after I provided the bank with proof that the apartment belongs to me, they offered me that loan of 160,000. I just wanted to tell you that some time has passed and I don't remember all the details, but I think I needed the amount of 160,000. I don't know what was the exchange rate for euros then to make it 160,000 at that time, but I assumed that that's the amount I needed, and later, after I got the loan, which I took for a 25-year period, I put the money back to the money that I was holding. So we also had some money from selling the apartment, the amount that you mentioned, and this 5,000 lei that I gathered together with my family, also given by our parents as gifts for various events. So that was the version with the purchased apartment. Honestly, this loan accounted for like 90% of the money for the apartment. And I still have that loan. That's it. Thank you. Okay, I understood. So you state that you did not use other sources of funds. It was money that you took from your father-in-law, that you don't recall the precise amount. Yes. For us to understand, you could not set a clear amount, because in all question rounds, and today again you said that you presume it was the amount of 160,000 because you don't remember how much you took in euros, or for other reasons. I mean, why do you say that you presume? Okay, 160,000. I don't know what the exchange rate was. I don't know how many euros it was, because I don't remember the exchange rate. Was it? Maybe it was 8,000, maybe it was 9,000. So I don't know the exchange rate at that time. That's why I don't know what the precise amount was. But it was equivalent of 160,000 lei. I don't know what the euros amount would be. I understand that. In one of the question rounds, you explained that you could not find a bank that would issue you a loan for the purchase, but they could offer you a loan for improvement, and that's why the 2013 loan you took in order to repair your apartment. Is that right? Yes. That's how it was. And do you have anything to add on the sources for this purchase, or can we move on? No? Okay. The following.
When you took that money that your father-in-law gave to you to keep, did you discuss that issue with your father-in-law? Did you also discuss it with the sister who was living abroad? So were they aware of the fact that you took that money in order to purchase the apartment?
Of course, my wife's father knew about it. He said the following: use the money in order to be able to get a credit of that amount. Use this money. We believed that it would happen quickly, but since the moment we got the apartment, there was a longer procedure, various documents to provide, valuations to carry out. So, obviously, I did not take that money illegally. It was with the consent of the parents, so to say, of my wife's parents. Don't believe that I took that money illegally. I got the consent. Otherwise, I mean, moreover, even if other issues would have happened, like the apartment that I already had, let's suppose I would give them the apartment to the wife's father. But I would like to tell you that if I believed that there was an action that was not quite legal, the apartment could have been registered on my wife's father's name, but I acted transparently without any camouflage of sorts.
Yep, go ahead.
Let's continue to clarify these aspects. So initially, in third round of questions, you declared that the amount that you received from your parents, they borrowed from some other people that you don't know. Then in the second round, you mentioned that they borrowed it from certain people. For instance, father's wife borrowed. I didn't want to mention, but since you already said, I think it's not a problem to say wife. I wanted to use another wording like close relative in order not to disclose the identity of your wife's sister. But I hope you discussed that topic and she consents to be mentioned. So in the second round, you mentioned that the father-in-law borrowed the money from his daughter. And in the same round, in the third round, you mentioned that your father-in-law gave you a certain amount of money in euros that you don't remember precisely how much it was, because you had a safe. And that money was received from his daughter for over the years 2003 to 2011, because she was working abroad. And you also explained that this amount of money was given to you without establishing any other aspects, meaning that it wasn't given to you as a loan. No due date, interest, or delay penalty was established. Given that it was your wife's father, you did not sign any documents on terms for storing that money. You also stated that because you only had 3 days to submit additional information to the Commission, you were not able to get information about your relative's employment contract of your wife's sister. She was sending the money to her parents because she wanted to buy an apartment. Also, you declared that since the money was transferred from the daughter to the father, you think they did not have any signed documents between her and your father-in-law. Yes? The Commission also asked you why you did not reflect in your annual declaration of assets and interests for 2012 the amount you got from the in-laws that you used to purchase this property in 2012. And you explained that you did not report that amount because the money was given to you exclusively for storage in the safe based on a verbal agreement without establishing conditions that we discussed before. And in 2013, already having the apartment, you could contract a loan from a bank, and from that money you purchased euros that you put back to that amount that you received to be stored in your safe from your father-in-law. According to Article 4 of the Law on Declaration and Control of Income and Assets in 2002, that was applicable to prosecutors as well, the declarants have to declare all income obtained together with family members, and Article 2 of that law defined the income as any increase, addition, or extension of property, regardless of the source or origin, expressed in property rights or in any other property benefit obtained by the declarant or their family members during the reported period, both in country and abroad. These are the facts, and now I would like to clarify them with you. Everything that I stated, do you disagree with any of the facts that I read, or do you disagree with anything that you reported to the Commission and now would like to clarify some things? Yes, maybe I did not understand. They did not give the money in 2003 to 2012, but in 2011. I received the money from the wife's father in 2011, not 2003. My wife's sister has been working in Italy since 2003. I mentioned that maybe I was mistaken. I said that you said that the sister was sending money over the period of 2003 to 2011. So she was sending the money to her father, and the father gave it to you in 2011. But the purchase of the apartment took place in 2012. I understood that. How do you explain the fact that over the 3 rounds of questions, you changed your statements a little bit? First, you said that your parents borrowed that amount from people you don't know, and then you said that they borrowed it from other people, for instance, a relative or a daughter that was working abroad. Also, in round 3, you said that the father-in-law gave you the money to store, not that you borrowed the money from the father-in-law. Could you please clarify this and please confirm what version is what really happened about the money that you got from your father-in-law? So, in the first round of questions, I answered not of a general way. I did not have a more serious attitude towards the questions because I had my job duties to perform. And when I saw that you provided or asked additional questions, clarifying, I understood that I had to take a more serious attitude and provide the necessary explanations as it actually happened. That's the entire explanation. So now, once more, for us to have an understanding for all of the Commission members, what is the actual version? The last one. The last one, and that is that the father-in-law gave you an amount of money to store, to keep, and from that amount he gave you the consent to take part and buy the apartment. And after I purchased the apartment, I put the money back to that amount. I kept it for some other period of time. I don't remember how much. And my sister's wife wanted to buy an apartment, but she didn't do. She actually purchased a house in Italy. Could you please explain the way it was when the father-in-law gave you that amount equivalent to 160,000 lei? Do you happen to know, was it only an agreement between you and him, or the wife's sister was also informed? So, was everyone aware? Did you have an agreement on when to return that amount or not? Okay, the first question about agreement between father-in-law and the daughter in Italy. I don't know how the discussion was, but between him and me, the discussion was the following. Use the amount that you need, take the loan and put it back. So, speaking of terms for the interest, due date, other aspects. No such things were discussed. But have you discussed about a specific amount? Did you tell the father-in-law how much exactly you were going to take? I don't remember precisely how the situation worked in this case. Okay. In one of the question rounds, you explained that your father-in-law received or had the necessary amount of money because he was receiving the money from his daughter. But given that you only had 3 days to answer that question, you did not manage to provide the Commission with proof regarding the income of that relative. Did you manage in the meanwhile to obtain a copy or such information ever since until now?
Apologies. I did not say that about the income. I meant the work contract that he had, as in working in Italy. I don't know about the income. But, well, a work contract usually also shows what the income would be. But the question of the Commission was, can you provide any supporting documentation with regards to the income of your wife's sister as to that will serve as a proof that she was able actually to transfer those amounts? Well, I believe I could obtain such a document following a discussion with that person concerned, the sister of my wife. She said that she could provide such document to me, but it's just the 3 days I did not manage to. So you could potentially obtain a document after the hearing. You explained that you didn't indicate the amount that you received from your father-in-law because there were questions from the Commission, and we have always asked you about the 2012 declaration, because that's what was coming out of your answers, that you received it in 2012, but now you said that, well, you received it in 2011. Is that correct? I received it for safekeeping in 2011, but it was in 2012. I took money from there when I needed it to buy the apartment, because that was, yes, the time when the asset was bought. And you said that you didn't declare the amount that you took from your parents-in-law. You did not report it in your 2012 declaration because you did not borrow it, but you took it to use it for the purchase and then to put it back as soon as you would get the loan from the bank. Is that correct? Yes. And now, considering the provisions I read earlier to you, do you believe that, according to the law, that you should have actually reported that amount as income that actually helped you or enabled you to buy that apartment? Or did you put it all back in 2012? No, because of the loan, I think it was already 2013 that I took it. So, in 2012, I thought that this amount, I couldn't frame it as a borrowing. I mean, there were no conditions around it, no terms around it as in interest rates or whatsoever. So I thought that I would show this debt when I take the loan in 2013. So I thought that's how it would appear via that 2013 loan that I was going to take. That's what I thought, that I would then have a legal document supporting the fact that I took a loan. So, understood. Is there anything that you would like to add in this regard? Maybe there's anything else you'd like to clarify further? No. The next.
Victoria?
Yes, just to clarify, the loan that you took from the bank in 2013, I believe in the amount of 160,000 lei, did you indicate that that was used towards repairs or renovations of the apartment?
In the loan agreement, the bank put down that the amount was given for renovations in the apartment. I said that I used it as I saw fit, and the bank did not raise any issue with me. I paid the loan back in due time, so the bank never had any issue with me or about the way that I used the loan that I took.
And my question is whether a portion of those loans were used for repairs or whether the funds were used completely to pay back the money that your father-in-law had loaned you.
I believe that, well, a part of that I used to cover some improvement needs. I mean, I can't say it precisely now. I did not keep very strict records as to that, as to what amount I used for different renovation works or the sort of apartment improvements. I did not keep very thorough records of that.
Can you give me an estimate at all?
I can't. I wouldn't want to say something that is not right now. At that time, we spent some funds on some materials that we used that because I personally performed some of the works on the apartment so that we could live there, but I can't say how much precisely I spent. I can't say that now. I mean, I can't estimate a precise amount, but it wasn't a lot. I mean, I needed just to buy that apartment. And what is more, I mean, that was my purpose. So I had to do that because if there was a policy of the government in place to support young prosecutors, to help them purchase, or at least to be supported in some way, to be given some help, maybe some facilities when it comes to taking a loan in order to purchase a place to live, then I wouldn't have taken this path and then end up with all of these problems and all of these actions that I had to take. So I did things that way because I needed to acquire a place to live, and the banks would impose their conditions, and that's why things turned out like this. That's why I did what I did.
One more question, because as I understand it, you took that the money from the what your father gave to you to keep, and it was about 160,000 in order to purchase the apartment, and then you took a loan from a bank, which was roughly about 160,000, in order to, I suppose, pay back the amount of money that your father gave to you to safekeep. So I'm just trying to make a calculation. How can you do then with the same amount of money do and repairs and pay back to your father-in-law? How would that work?
Now, speaking about the renovations, it wasn't something very ample, something that was very big and that would have required large expenses, large amounts of money. I think I spent maybe 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 lei for some superficial renovation works, like painting something, because when we bought the apartment, it was just not quite tidy. So that's the sort of renovations that we did. Nothing big, nothing substantial. It was just a little bit, something that was very minor, really, like the most basic needs that we needed to cater to so that we could move into that apartment with the entire family. Just to clarify something, Mr. Borș, can you remember approximately what you were given? Was it in euros? Was it 8, 9, 10, 15,000 for safekeeping? Can you remember how much your father-in-law gave you for safekeeping? After I took the amount that I needed, there was like 1,000 or 2,000 left or 500 left, so what was left was not a big amount. Just so you understand what I mean, I was talking to the banks and I saw that that amount was there, which means it was enough, but it wasn't a big amount. I mean, I've had enough, and there was like 1,000 euros left over. And I never thought that I would find myself in a situation in front of the Preventing Commission to have to remember all those details. The question is, your father-in-law gave you something for keeping some money, or did you know how much he gave you, or was it all in an envelope and you didn't know how much was there? How much did your father-in-law give you for safekeeping? Well, he would periodically give me some amounts. After I moved in, I then said that, I no longer had that safe box in that apartment. I didn't have it, so I gave him the money back. And there was the debt, that is the money that I took. And that was all. I cannot be very precise with regards to it as to what money was left. I'm not asking what amount was left. I'm rather asking what was the amount that your father-in-law gave you? Even before you took that amount that you needed. Maybe you can tell us in rough terms, was it 5,000, 10,000 euros, 20,000 euros that you were given for safekeeping? What is the amount that your father-in-law gave you for safekeeping? How much was there initially, and then you took money from there and then put it back? Well, he would periodically give me money, so I think it was like about 8,000 euros. Fine, thank you. Now, the next issue is rather going to be something that would like to have more clarity about. Some clarifications are required, because I think there might have been some misunderstanding in the questions that we've asked you. In the second round of questions, the Commission has made some calculations of your income for 2012 and also calculation of your expenses. And it established that we couldn't find an explanation for the amount of 145,187 lei. You can see the table in the facts in front of you. In your answer, you confirmed that the figures were accurate. But then later, you mentioned that outside the total salary income of
145 or 187 that you received in 2012, that in addition to that you've had some savings and so on and so forth. And in the second and third round of questions, you were again asked a question about income, your income, the wife's income, and you were required to explain the source of the 145,000 that you rated as salary income. You called it salary income, and in your answer you said that you've covered it from the euros that your father-in-law gave you for safekeeping. You can see the table right there in front of you. Can you explain whether there is a misunderstanding? Because as per the data of the Commission, the income, your income, her and your wife's income was 118,000. The 145,000 is the difference that is not clear. It's not clear for the Commission where is it from, what is up with the difference. So can you clarify, or will you continue to say that 145,000 is the income, is your income and the wife's income together, and maybe the Commission doesn't have all the information regarding your income? Could you shed more light on this aspect? Yes, this amount, 145,000. Where did it come from? Where? I couldn't make sense of it. You didn't understand the methodology. In the round of questions, there was an explanation. So we took the net salary that you received and the net salary that your wife received. You can see it in the table. And then we subtracted from that sum the amount that you spent for purchasing the asset in 2012 and the average consumer expenses for the population as established by the National Bureau of Statistics for your family at that time. And so that's where this difference came. So it's like this difference is due to the money that you took from your father-in-law, or but what is your explanation with regards to this difference at the end of the day? Speaking about the salary, you mentioned the salary. I did not include it in the procurement of the apartment. I told you how I bought the apartment. That I told you that there were three sources. The money I took from my father-in-law, the sale of the apartment, and 5,000, a bit more than 5,000. The 145,000, the income, the salary income, I did not use that for the apartment.
Any questions?
Mulțumim mult.
Thank you very much. I'd like us to, though before we move to the next issue, is there anything you would like to add regarding this apartment? No, there is nothing for me to add. And the second issue is about the land plot that was appropriated to you for free in 2007. So according to the information that you provided to the Commission, by a decision of the Gheorghe City Council from 2007, you received for free in private ownership a land plot of 0.06 hectares in Gheorghe for the construction of a house. In 2011, you sold this land plot and you paid the capital gain taxes. In the ethics questionnaire, as well as in your answers to the fourth round of questions, you said that the legal grounds on the basis of which Gheorghe City Council provided you the land plot was Article 11 of the Land Code, which provided at that time the allocation of land plots for free to newly formed families. And you've also provided copies of a number of documents ascertaining to the efforts of the Gheorghe Prosecutor's Office to provide you and other prosecutors with service housing on the basis of Article 38 of the Law on the Prosecutor's Office in force at that time. In a request of the 10th of January 2006 and of the 19th of January 2007, addressed by the head of the Gheorghe Prosecutor's Office to Gheorghe City Council and City Hall, The two local public authorities were requested to implement the provisions of Article 38 of the law of the Prosecutor's Office by allocating to the prosecutors included in that request service housing or a land plot from the reserve of the City Hall for the building of residential constructions out of their own individual sources. In your replies in the fourth round of written questions, you said you didn't have a copy of the decision of the Hâncești City Council of 16 March 2007, but you also indicated that over 1998-2007 that you did not file any requests in writing in your name to Hâncești local public authorities requesting the allocation of service housing or of a land plot as per Article 38 of the law of the Prosecutor's Office. And you also stated that in 2007, between January and March, that you attended one meeting of the Hâncești City Council where you explained the fact that the provisions of Article 38 of the law of the Prosecutor's Office were not being observed by the local public authorities, and the City Council proposed that the issue be solved by allocating a land plot from the residential space for construction of a housing space as per Article 11 of the Land Code. In exchange of you giving up or dropping the claims that you had according to those requests filed by the Hâncești Prosecutor's Office. You said that you agreed with that proposal, you submitted the requested documentations, and when you were issued the title deed for that land plot, neither you nor the Hâncești Prosecutor's Office submitted any claims with the local public authorities. You've also explained that the allocation of land plot was not governed by Article 38 of the law of the Prosecutor's Office, and in the request submitted to Hâncești City Hall, they did not indicate that the land plot was to be attributed on the basis of Article 38 of the law of the Prosecutor's Office. And according to those requests, it was required either the provision of housing space or the allocation of a land plot from the City Hall's reserve for the building of residential constructions. That is Article 11 of the Land Code. And according to the information available, you and your wife registered your marriage on the 18th of April 2007. And you've also provided in your answers that you did not take any measures with regards to building a house on that plot that was allotted to you, because the law did not provide for a period of time for that, and did not have any provisions in that regard, and also did not provide for any prohibition for selling the allocated land plot. Now, considering the aforementioned, we'd like you to please confirm that you received that land plot of 0.06 hectares in Hâncești in private ownership for the construction of a house by a decision of Hâncești City Council from March 2007. I confirm. And also please confirm that you told the Commission that the legal grounds for that decision for the allocation of the land was Article 11 of the Land Code. Yes. That provided for the allocation of land plots to newly formed families. Yes. Please confirm that between 1998 and 2007, you did not submit any request in writing in your name to the Hâncești local public authorities requesting the allocation of service housing or of a land plot as per Article 38 of the law of the Prosecutor's Office. I have personally not filed a request in writing. If you wanted to add, go ahead. I just confirmed that I did not file a request. Maybe in the last year, in 2007, I might have filed a request in writing, but I can't remember well, but I still keep my opinion that I did, and I just didn't file a request, but I was in a meeting where I clarified orally the provisions or what was required. I don't remember if I filed a written request at that time. Understood. Well, you answered already the question, and you mentioned that in that meeting, when you explained that the provisions of Article 38 were not being observed, you said in your answer in the fourth round of questions, you said that the local council of Hâncești suggested solving that situation by allocation of a land plot for the construction of a residential construction as per Article 11 of the Land Code, in exchange of you dropping claims that you raised. Can you explain a little bit what that proposal was about from the Hâncești City Council? There were a number of requests. I presented a number of requests regarding the observance of Article 38 from the law of the prosecutor's office, the observance of that article by the local public authority, that is. Because in 2004 and in other years, I was doing that, and the answers were that those provisions, that it was not possible to enforce those provisions. That would be the answers over the years. In 2007, now I can't remember the date precisely, I personally participated in one of the meetings of the Hâncești City Council because I wanted to share with them, well, to tell them about the situation. I wanted the entire council to be aware of it, to be aware of the situation, so that all the councillors were there. I think there were about 30 members of the council. So I wanted to explain the situation to them, that is the situation around the allocation of housing, service housing, or covering associated expenses. And now, during those debates, discussions, we've also raised the provisions of Article 11 of the Land Code during those discussions. That is, I was supposed to meet certain conditions that would have allowed me then to receive land plot. It was supposed to be a newly formed family domiciled in Hâncești, and I was supposed not to be the owner of an asset such as like a real estate asset. So the local public administration said that we could apply Article 11 of the Land Code, but in exchange you will then drop your claims that we should provide you housing or pay your rent. And thus I applied through the lens of the newly formed family. My wife was from Hâncești, I was from Hâncești since 1998. I was domiciled in Hâncești, so we met the newly formed family condition or criterion. So that's how they settled out that issue with me, and I dropped any other claims, like the claims that are provided for in the other article. But are you aware that such an offer, such a proposal, are you aware whether other prosecutors were made such proposals? There were other prosecutors, too, but were those also newly formed families, or were single prosecutors given that such proposals? Well, I can't comment as to whether they were married or not, but other prosecutors received that too. But as for myself, I met all the criteria for Article 11 to be applied. And Other than that, I did not raise any other claims later. So the council did not give it to you because you're a prosecutor, but they gave that land plot to you because I was an inhabitant of Hâncești. But can you remember whether it was mandatory for you to be married, or did you just declare that you were a newly formed family? The council decided that. They said, we will allot it to you, but you need to provide documentation. You need to provide. So they decided that it would be allotted, but for the title deed to be drawn up, I was supposed to submit a set of documentation, of documents that were requested, such as the marriage certificate, decision of the city council, I believe, and a report attesting to the fact that I was not the owner of other real estate assets and that I was domiciled, like registered in Hâncești. I provided the requested documentation, and then, based on that, a title deed was drawn up, and thus I became the owner of the asset. So the marriage certificate was submitted by you after the allocation decision was adopted. Yes. Yes, after. I was in the course of getting married at that time. Fine, understood.
Do you have anything to add in this respect? No. We have one more issue that I hope we can clarify, because again, it seems there was a misunderstanding between questions and answers, and that is about income of 138,000 that entered your wife's bank account over the period 2007 to 2010. You have a table in front of you. In the second round of questions, the Commission asked you for a statement of a wife's account. I will not name it. That was opened on 8 June 2007 and closed on 29th of March 2014, and explain what was the source of funds that entered that account in the years 2007 to 2010 in a total amount of 138,717 lei. The Commission asked you that question because that amount was larger than the salary received by your wife during that time, according to the information from the State Tax Service. You replied that the source of the net income of 47,238 lei was your wife's salary. You did not provide the bank statement related to this account, and you did not explain the difference between incoming and outgoing amounts on the account, as well as the source of funds for the amounts that were in excess of the salary. In the third round, the Commission asked you to confirm the amounts in the table that you have in front of you. It is probably on the last page of the facts, or last but one. For the years 2007 to 2010, because that's where the differences are larger. So, in your reply to the third round, you said you did not understand correctly the previous questions that were about that account and another similar bank account in your name. And you provided new explanations, and you also provided the relevant bank statements. You provided explanations, clear explanations for the Commission about your account. But with respect to your wife's account, you declared that you could not confirm if the amounts are accurate, but you provided the bank statement, and you said that your answer about the credit card opened in your name for the 16,000 lei credit was also relevant for this account. So with respect to the credit card account, you said that you gave your father the card to use it over the years 2007 to 2012, and the entries to that account were his. According to the information available to the Commission, the account registered in your name was indeed an account related to a credit card worth 16,000 lei, and the account registered in your wife's name was again related to a credit card in the amount of 5,000 lei. Please indicate if any of the facts that I mentioned about these two cards is incorrect, or do you confirm that what I presented so far is correct? I confirm it is correct. Could you please explain this bank account used by your wife? Was it used by your wife or was it given to someone also? These two cards, we were giving them to be used by... Well, I didn't have other sources of money to give, but I gave a card to my father who had certain family activities because we were living together. So I gave it for him to do what he needed. So he was using the money, and you have this 1 month period. If you return the money within 1 month, no interest is applied. So he did what he needed, like buying something, taking something. He gave me money, and I was repaying it. So having a turnover. That's why it shows like that on the account. So it could also be possible that I take 5,000 lei, as I explained, and I spend only 1,000. And in order not to have interest rate applied for the next month, I took 5,000, I spent only 1,000, 4,000 belongs still to the bank, so I put it back. And it somehow works like I took the money and I put part of it back. And we cannot add it that they kind of come from somewhere else. That's how it was with these two cards, 5,000 and 16,000. So you said that exactly as the 16,000 lei card was used, it was in the same way as the 5,000 credit card. In the first round, I did not understand. I forgot about these cards. And I thought it was about salary, and I was thinking, where from do I have such a turnover on the account? I was really surprised for those years. But when I saw that it was about a banking card, we recalled that, yes, we had that thing. Did not pay attention to that because the amounts were not large. And that is why in the first round I answered that way, because you saw that I also at the time I provided you salary certificates because I was thinking like we were receiving salary from the bank. It wasn't clear. Yes, that's why I mentioned that it was obvious that something was not clear initially. So you state that the funds that were added to the account of your wife, all the amounts during those years, 2007 to 2010, they were put there by your father. You gave him both, your and your wife's cards. Yes, we were withdrawing the money, giving him as much as he needed, or he withdrew money. It depends on... And then we were paying or topping up that account. So we were trying to do that within 1 month in order to avoid interest. So with the first card, from what you explained in the written round, is that you gave your card to your father, and he was doing those transactions. Or did you give your wife's card as well? Yes. It was for a amount for him to have 16 and 21,000 for him to have available to be able to use it. Because this is how much the bank gave us. Gave 16,000 credit card to me and 5,000 to my wife because her salary was lower. Okay, would you like to add anything to this subject? No.
Issue 2. Sorry to have to go backwards. It's the one having to do with the land plot that was allocated to you. And if I understand correctly, that was a land plot through the program for new families to build residential housing, correct? And by the time you sold that in 2011, you had not gotten permits to build anything or undertaken any efforts to construct a residence on that plot, correct? You need to answer for the recording.
Deci, nu știu, legea prevede că
Well, the law states that it is allocated for construction of a residential house.
el are destinația pentru construcție.
So that its purpose is construction. So if this land plot is allocated, it cannot be used for another purpose.
Cel nemijlocit se utilizează
It
pentru
is
construcție.
used for construction, but it doesn't
Ca să nu fie vândut
prohibit to sell it. It's important for the person who buys it
să-l utilizeze
to use it
în destinație.
according to its purpose for constructions.
Având surse
Not having,
început, am crezut că
well, at the beginning, we thought
poate o să
that maybe I will build something there, but seeing that I did not have such a possibility, I decided to sell it.
Right. And at the time that you got the property, looking back at the table on issue 1 and your income and expenditures for 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, you had not built up much in the way of savings, correct?
ca scop economie
Savings,
nu pot să
I cannot remember how much savings I had at that time.
să înțeleg
I just want to understand what kind of savings. You're talking savings for building a house? Do you mean that?
Well, your expenditures were almost equivalent and in some years were greater than the amount of your salaries, correct?
cheltuieli
Expenditure. I only have a salary, but I don't have a record keeping of the expenditure. Maybe you're talking about these cards?
I'm talking about the table that was furnished to you with issue number 1, which records your income and expenses for the years 2000 through 2011.
dacă
If we refer to income,
am sunt arătate
this shows are these the bank entries for the 2 credit cards for the 5,000 and 16,000 that I and my wife had?
eu n-am arătat
Because I did not, well, I have income, salary, but I did not
declarații
make any declarations regarding my expenditures. So I don't know if I am clear enough.
Expenditures that are furnished there are based on the national statistics for a family of your size in that location. So that's where those come from. But let's quickly just, as to the year 2011, when you are purchasing the apartment, you only had by that time approximately, as I recall, 5,000 in savings, correct? Okay. So, and as I recall, you were not eligible and could not get a loan because of your income and that you didn't have property to secure it with, correct? So when you got the allocation of the land plot in 2007, what funds were you planning to use to construct a house?
momentul
From the moment when the land plot was allocated, I planned obviously to use
salarial,
funds coming from my salary
perspectiva
with potential, because
inițiate deja reforme
the reform already started in the prosecutorial system at that time, so and part of it was increasing salary of prosecutors. So I was thinking that I'd rather obtain
aceste rânduri
this land plot from the local authority, better the land plot than nothing.
cum alți colegi
Or as other fellow prosecutors are
până în prezent.
still having litigations, they have writs of enforcement, but
Opțiunea mea că
well, that was my option to go this way as a resident of the city, so that I would have the right to benefit as a new formed family.
deci administrația publică locală
The local authority was
informate, adică
giving it to new formed families,
nu erau condiții anume că
meaning it wasn't a
dau, este trece
provision that I give its land to you and that some time passes and if you don't build anything there, we'll take it away. No, the law does not regulate any such thing.
poate voi avea
So I was thinking that maybe I will have the possibility to build,
sau poate sau
or
bine
maybe I could use it as guarantee in order to get a loan. But of course, the banks had different visions. And then I gave up to this idea of having a house and moved to have an apartment. Hello, Mr. Borș. I would like to ask you a question. Strictly speaking, allocation of a land plot under Article 11 do not exonerate the state and your right to request your right provided under Article 38, the service housing. But once this land plot was provided to you, you did not chase that right, let's say. So I would like to ask you in that context, do you believe that allocation of that land plot was in a way a compensation for instead of service housing? Why did you give up on trying to execute your right to benefit of service housing?
eu am considerat
I believed
nu trebuie să fiu
that I should not be I should have some well, should be have all the saying that I got land plot as as a new formed family, and I thought it was inappropriate to ask again for service housing or rental payment. Your answer is accepted. Thank you.
The Commission, if that is the case, then I would like now to give you the floor and give you the opportunity to make a brief closing statement if you would like to. So please go ahead.
stimați membri,
Esteemed members,
eu vă mulțumesc pentru
I thank you
efortul dumneavoastră
for your effort
realizat în raport cu persoana
made with respect to my candidacy, and briefly, I would like
că
to tell you that
am discutat în mare parte aspectele astea
we discussed mostly about these financial aspects. I'd like to tell you that all the amounts that were used to buy the property
nu au agenți cu
have no connection with my work as a prosecutor.
nu știu dacă
I don't know if I was credible or not, it's up to you.
Eu vă mulțumesc și vă
But I would like to thank you and I wish you the best of health.
With that, we come to the end of the hearing. I thank you for being here and to answer questions to the Commission also in writing before. The Commission will now withdraw for deliberations, and in principle we would like to issue a decision in your case within a month after the date of this hearing. Hereby the hearing is closed, and thank you again for being with us this afternoon. Thank you.